Welcome to my channel. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and like. Jack Ramsey stumbled up the creaky, half-rotted wooden steps to his mobile home, his work boots caked with the red dust of a construction site just outside Wells, Nevada. It was late, way past midnight, and the desert air was so dry it scratched his throat, even though his phone's cracked screen read 2:53 a.m. He just left the Dusty Boot, a dive bar on the edge of town, where he'd downed one too many Coors Lights and lost a pool game to a trucker with a grin missing half its teeth. Jack fumbled through his pockets for his keys, his fingers clumsy like they'd had a few beers of their own. "Open the damn door, you piece of junk!" he muttered, finally fishing the key out from under his wallet. The door swung open with a groan, like an old hound complaining about being disturbed. Jack flipped the light switch, and a sickly yellow glow from a thrift store lamp stung his eyes. His mobile home looked like a tornado had thrown a tantrum. Empty beer cans littered the floor, pizza boxes from the local joint were stacked precariously on the coffee table, and his PlayStation controller was tangled in a mess of cables like some kind of tech roadkill. "Welcome home, Jack," he said to himself, smirking. "Paradise, right?" Jack was a plumber for a small outfit in Wells, a town where folks only called him when their toilets backed up or their pipes got clogged with something nobody wanted to name. The pay was barely enough to cover beer and a chunk of his electric bill. He glanced at the kitchen corner, where a stack of past-due notices was pinned to the fridge with a Budweiser bottle-shaped magnet. Water, power, rent, they were all lined up like a debt collection hit squad. 3 days till the landlord comes knocking, he sighed, collapsing onto his ancient sofa. The spring squeaked in protest, reminding him that everything in his life was falling apart. He reached for the PlayStation controller, figuring a round of Call of Duty might drown out his miserable reality. But before his fingers hit the power button, a faint blue glow caught his eye. It was coming from the corner of the room, right under the skylight, the one extravagant touch in this dump, installed just so he could brag to his buddies about having class. "What the hell's that?" Jack mumbled, his stomach churning, though he wasn't sure if it was the beer or the weird light. On the grimy carpet sat a baseball-sized orb, pulsing with soft blue light that cast swirling patterns across the ceiling, like a cheap light show at a backwoods bar. Jack, half-drunk and foggy, wasn't so far gone that he'd ignore a glowing mystery ball. He slid off the sofa, crawling closer. "If you're radioactive, just kill me quick, alright?" he said, half-joking, reaching out to touch it. The orb's surface was smooth, warm like a fresh cup of coffee, and when his fingers grazed it, the light exploded in a dazzling burst, making him flinch back. The patterns inside spun faster, like the thing was alive. A strange smell hit him, not quite gunpowder, but like hot metal mixed with peppermint. Jack scooped the orb up, cradling it as he dragged himself back to the sofa, mesmerized by its glow and the weird vibe it gave off. "Beats Netflix," he muttered, eyelids drooping. His last thought before passing out was that this thing didn't belong on Earth. Oddly, instead of fear, he felt a spark of curiosity, like his boring life was about to get a whole lot less predictable. A loud clatter from the kitchen jolted Jack awake. Something was rummaging through his fridge, which was ridiculous. Nobody'd steal the expired mustard jar and half a can of Red Bull that made up his inventory. Jack groaned, burying his face deeper into the sofa cushion, trying to figure out if anything in his place was worth swiping. "Probably rats," he thought, but then a woman's voice cut through the haze, snapping him upright. "Your cereal is seriously lacking in nutrients. Is this really all humans eat to stay alive?" Jack blinked hard, his head spinning from last night's beer and the shock of what he was seeing. Standing in the kitchen corner was a woman, or something not quite human. She was tall, nearly 6'3", with pale blue skin that shimmered like polished gemstones under the cheap fluorescent light. A diamond-shaped gem on her forehead glowed with the same blue as the orb from last night. Her eyes were the weirdest part, no pupils, just swirling pools of light shifting between blue and gold, like they held a whole damn galaxy. And she was wearing his company t-shirt, Ramsey's Plumbing, "We fix your leaks," stretched tight across her chest and barely reaching mid-thigh. Jack's jaw dropped. What the hell are you? I'm starving, she said, holding up a box of frosted flakes he didn't even know he owned. These sugar-coated flakes are interesting, but do they actually fuel an intelligent species? Jack staggered to his feet, trying not to fall over. Who are you? How'd you get in here? And why are you wearing my shirt? He grabbed his phone, fingers shaking, unsure if he should call 911 or post this on Reddit. The woman tilted her head, her swirling eyes locked on him. I came through a spatial portal. She pointed at the sofa, where a faint dusting of blue light still clung to the cushions. You activated my sync gem when you touched it. A bit heavy-handed, I might add. Jack shook his head, trying to process. Spatial portal? From where? Zorath 9, she said like it was a place he should have heard of. Seeing his blank stare, she frowned. Fourth quadrant of the Clythar Nebula, near the Vaxian binary cluster. Your astronomers haven't mapped it yet? Jack snorted, though nothing about this was funny. Lady, we're still arguing over whether Mars has germs. He rubbed his temples, fighting to stay sharp. What's your name? Zyraveth, she said, standing taller, shoulders squared like she was announcing a title. Fifth heir of the Zorath Consciousness Council, direct descendant of the Light-born line, and currently a fugitive. Her eyes flicked to the window, like she was checking for something. Fugitive? Jack repeated, feeling like he'd been punched. You mean like a wanted criminal? Is some kind of space SWAT team about to kick down my door? Zyraveth shrugged, grabbing a handful of cereal and munching away. Worse. Interplanetary diplomats. They're a real pain. She crunched loudly, her eyes lighting up as she tasted the sugar. These are amazing. Worth crossing the galaxy for. Jack circled the sofa, keeping his distance, his brain as tangled as the cables on his table. Interplanetary diplomats? What are you talking about? Zyraveth licked sugar dust off her fingers, her tongue glinting metallic gold, making Jack jump. When you touched my sync gem and made those odd noises in your sleep. Snoring, Jack cut in. It's called snoring. Snoring, she repeated, like it was a breakthrough invention. By ancient Zorath 9 law, touching a sync gem and linking with the consciousness of a light-born heir, like me, initiates a permanent bonding ritual. In your Earth terms, you proposed to me. Jack's head spun like he chugged another six-pack. Proposed? I was drunk. I was asleep. I didn't propose to anybody. Zyraveth smiled, her swirling eyes twinkling with mischief. Cultural misunderstandings are common in interspecies bonds. But the ritual started. Your biosignature's locked into my gem. She tapped the gem on her forehead, its blue light pulsing in sync. Jack bolted to the sink, splashing cold water on his face, praying she'd be gone when he looked up. No such luck. Zyraveth was still there, now inspecting the expired mustard jar like it was an ancient relic. You're different from the males on my planet, she said, reaching out to touch his stubbly chin. Jack jerked back. No touching, all right? No more rituals. The initial bond's already set, she said. More contact just strengthens it. Awesome, Jack said, gripping the sink, feeling like the world was caving in. So what now? We get an alien divorce and you go home? Zyraveth's eyes turned serious. I can't go back. I was betrothed to Kale Zor, Grand Consciousness Commander of Zorath 9. He wants to control my psychic bloodline to dominate the planet. She touched her gem, her hand trembling slightly. I fled to stop him. Before Jack could ask more, a shrill beep erupted from Zyraveth's wrist. She glanced at a silver bracelet flashing red, then darted to the window, yanking the curtain aside. They've detected our unauthorized bond, she said. As a light-born heir, I'm forbidden from linking with less advanced species. Less advanced? Jack snapped, offended. What's that supposed to mean? No time, Zyraveth said, rushing to the corner and grabbing his backpack. She stuffed in his phone, wallet, and an unopened Snickers bar. The Interplanetary Diplomatic Corps is coming to sever the bond. The process could seriously mess up your brain. Mess up how? Jack asked, not sure he wanted the answer. They'll erase your memories of me, she said, still packing. For humans, that can break your brain, as you'd put it. Break? Jack yelled. My brain doesn't get to break. A low hum shook the trailer, rattling the walls. Empty beer cans rolled off the coffee table, clattering to the floor. Jack ran to the window, ripping the curtain open. Hovering about 50 feet from the trailer park was a sleek, teardrop-shaped metal object, no lights or engines visible, just reflecting the moonlight in an eerie glow. Jesus Christ, Jack whispered. What's that? They're here, Zyraveth said, shoving the blue orb into the backpack. The ground team hit first. They disguised themselves as humans, gray suits, faces too perfect, movements a little stiff. Jack peeked outside, and sure enough, 3 men in pristine gray suits were marching toward his trailer from the park's entrance. Their steps were eerily synchronized, like they'd been programmed. Jesus Christ, Jack said again, snatching his truck keys from the kitchen counter. What do we do now? Run, Zyraveth said. Unless you want your brain wiped. Running sounds good, Jack said, shoving his wallet and phone into his pockets. But just for now, got it? Until we figure out how to fix this without scrambling my head. Zyraveth nodded, a quick smile flickering across her face. For now. I need to contact the Zorath Resistance. They'll help us. Resistance? Jack shook his head, dragging her toward the back door. A sharp knock echoed from the front. We'll talk later. Run now. Jack's beat-up Ford F-150 was parked out back, its Ramsey's Plumbing logo peeling off the door. Get in! Jack shouted, jumping into the driver's seat. The engine roared to life on the third try, a small miracle he silently thanked the universe for. He floored the gas, weaving through the narrow dirt path between trailers, dodging the main road where the gray-suited goons stood like creepy bank tellers from another dimension. 6 hours later, the Nevada sun was blazing, scorching everything in sight. Jack was cruising down Highway 93 toward Idaho, with no plan beyond. Get the hell out of Dodge. Zyraveth sat in the passenger seat, fiddling with the radio, flipping from a twangy country tune to a car insurance ad, then landing on a late-night show about UFO conspiracies. Your people are obsessed with extraterrestrials, she said, pointing at the radio. But their theories are way off. Jack glanced at her, still not used to her blue skin and the glowing gem on her forehead. How's it feel being the alien riding shotgun in my truck? I'm a light-born heir, not an alien, Zyraveth said, her fingers still messing with the radio knobs. I'm not here to invade your planet. I just need a temporary hideout. So what's the plan? Jack asked, eyes glued to the empty road. We keep driving till we run out of gas or those gray-suit guys catch us? Zyraveth pulled a small device from her wrist, looking like a smartwatch but shimmering like liquid metal. I need to reach a resistance outpost in Boise, Idaho, she said, tapping the device. It's disguised as a bike shop. Jack let out a laugh, unsure if it was amusement or panic. Aliens and bicycles. Classic. How far's that? About 300 miles, she said, studying the device. But we gotta be careful. The diplomatic corps can track the energy signature from our bond. Energy signature? Jack asked, gripping the wheel tighter. You mean they know where we are? Not exactly, Zyraveth said, her fingers gliding over the device. The signature fluctuates based on our emotions. Strong feelings make it louder. So you're telling me to stay calm while being hunted by bureaucrats who want to fry my brain? Jack shouted, smacking the steering wheel. Exactly, she said, shrugging. Think about something nice. Like those sugary cereal flakes of yours. Jack shook his head, trying to swallow his frustration. A faded sign up ahead pointed to an old Texaco gas station. I need coffee, he said, pulling into the lot. And you can't go in looking like that. He gestured at her blue skin and forehead gem. Handled, Zyraveth said, closing her eyes. A wave of shimmering light washed over her, and suddenly she looked human, pale skin, brown hair, normal brown eyes. A faint sparkle lingered when she moved in the sunlight. Jack's jaw dropped. You could do that the whole time? Why didn't you back at my place? Psychic camouflage burns a lot of energy, she said, checking her new look in the side mirror. I save it for emergencies. Plus, I wanted to see how you'd react to the real me. Your heart rate spiked 38%. Jack felt his face heat up. That's 'cause I was freaking out, okay? If you say so, she said, smirking. Inside the gas station, Jack filled a jumbo coffee cup and grabbed a couple of protein bars. Zyraveth stood in front of a cotton candy machine, eyes wide like a kid at a carnival. A device for spinning sugar into airy structures, she whispered, reaching out to touch it. It's just cotton candy, Jack said, pulling her away. But he was too late. Zyraveth frowned in concentration, and the machine started shaking. The sugar inside spun faster, forming a mini tornado, then, crack, the plastic casing split, and pink cotton candy erupted like a volcano. The cashier, a teenager with messy hair, yelled, "What the hell?" and whipped out his phone to record. This is going viral on TikTok. Zyraveth stepped forward, placing a finger on his forehead. His eyes glazed over. You spilled the sugar while cleaning the machine, she said. Nothing weird happened. You'll clean it up and forget us. The kid nodded blankly. Spilled while cleaning. Got it. Jack froze, his coffee cup hitting the floor. What did you just do? Just a light psychic nudge, Zyraveth said, grabbing a bag of Doritos from a shelf. He'll be fine. Might dream about cotton candy for a few days. You erased his memory? Jack shouted, dragging her back to the truck. Not erased, just tweaked, she said, ripping open the Doritos and taking a bite. Her eyes lit up. These fried corn chips, they're like Zorath 9's pleasure snacks. Jack slumped into the driver's seat, feeling like the universe was sitting on his shoulders. You blew up a cotton candy machine, messed with that kid's head, and now you're eating Doritos like it's no big deal? We've got 27 days to fix this, right? Zyraveth nodded, her mouth full of chips. After 27 days, our neural pathways will be permanently synced. Breaking the bond then would hurt us both. Jack stared out at the highway, his mind reeling. 24 hours ago, he was stressing about utility bills. Now he was a fugitive, on the run with an alien princess who could nuke cotton candy machines and rewrite memories. 27 days. He repeated, hands tightening on the wheel. Don't worry, Zyraveth said, offering him a Dorito. I'm a great road trip buddy. And who knows, maybe marrying a light-born heir will be more fun than unclogging pipes. Jack took the chip, looking at her. This is a nightmare. But it's also the craziest adventure of my life. Zyraveth grinned, her smile lighting up the rusty old truck. That's why it's worth living. The Nevada sun had dipped below the barren hills, leaving a deep purple sky stretching over Highway 93. Jack Ramsey floored the gas pedal of his beat-up Ford F-150, red dust caking the windshield. He'd been driving for nearly 8 hours straight, stopping only twice to refuel and grab more coffee. In the passenger seat, Zyraveth sat in her human disguise, pale skin, brown hair, brown eyes, but every so often, the glow of a passing streetlight caught her, making her skin shimmer faintly, like her camouflage was wearing thin. She fiddled with the radio, flipping from an 80s rock anthem to a back pain pill ad, then settling on a late-night conspiracy show. This guy, she said, pointing at the radio, thinks humans are controlled by a lizard council. He's wrong, but not entirely wrong. Jack shot her a sideways glance, shaking his head. What are you talking about? Lizard people aren't real. Or are you gonna tell me they're out there too, like you? Zyraveth shrugged, snagging a Dorito from the bag on the floor. No lizards. But other species, metal. The Zorath 9 Consciousness Council ran experiments on your planet. Small stuff, a few thousand years ago. Jack slammed his hand on the steering wheel. Experiments? Like abducting people and sticking chips in them? No chips, she said, crunching loudly. Just observation. Sometimes nudging cultural ideas. You call it religion? Jack's jaw dropped, nearly swerving off the road. You're saying aliens invented religion? You pulling my leg? Zyraveth shrugged again, like it was no big deal. Not all of them. Just a few. You humans are suckers for a good story. Jack rubbed his temples, feeling like his brain was about to short-circuit. Alright, forget that. How far to Boise and this weird bike shop of yours? Zyraveth checked the device on her wrist, its red light flickering weakly. About 200 miles. But I need a break. The psychic camouflage drains me, and I haven't eaten anything but your corn chips. Jack glanced at the fuel gauge. The needle was kissing red. I need gas too. And some real food, not Doritos. He spotted a faded sign ahead, Mama's Diner, open 24/7. Alright, we'll stop there. But you gotta act normal, got it? No blowing up coffee makers or messing with anybody's head. Zyraveth nodded, but her eyes twinkled with mischief. I'll try. But your culture's fascinating. Mama's Diner was a classic greasy spoon, with pink neon lights buzzing and the smell of sizzling grease thick in the air. Jack parked around back, out of the streetlight's reach, to avoid drawing attention. He checked the rearview mirror, making sure no gray-suited goons were lurking. Let's go, he said, opening the truck door. And remember, nothing weird. Zyraveth stepped out, her fake brown hair fluttering in the desert breeze. Her disguise held, but Jack noticed her movements were sluggish, like she was running on fumes. He wondered if she was hiding something, but hunger and exhaustion kept him from digging deeper. Inside, a waitress with dyed blonde hair tied in a high ponytail greeted them with a tired smile. Welcome to Mama's. Table for two? She led them to a corner booth, away from the windows, and handed over menus. Jack ordered a bacon cheeseburger with fries, while Zyraveth stared at the menu like it was an ancient scroll. What's this? She asked, pointing to bacon cheeseburger. Grilled beef, cheese, bacon. Jack explained. It's good. You should try it. Zyraveth nodded. I'll take that. And this chocolate milkshake thing too. The waitress jotted it down and left. Jack leaned back, eyeing Zyraveth. You okay? You look wiped. She touched her wrist, where the silver device blinked red. The camouflage is exhausting. And the sync gems burning energy faster than I expected. Jack frowned. You mean that thing on your forehead? What's it do besides glow and tie us together? Zyraveth hesitated, twisting a corner of the menu. It's not just a bonding tool. It holds part of my consciousness. If I lose it, or it's destroyed, I won't be me anymore. Jack's stomach nodded. Not you? Like you'd lose your mind? She shook her head. Worse. My consciousness would unravel. I'd be a husk, just a body. Jack's mouth fell open, words failing him. Before he could press further, the waitress brought their food. Zyraveth's burger steamed, the bacon's aroma filling the air. She took a bite, her eyes lighting up like a kid unwrapping a Christmas present. This, she said, mouth full, this is better than any snack on Zorath 9. Jack chuckled despite his worry. Slow down, or you'll choke. They ate in silence for a bit, the clink of silverware and twangy country music from the diner's old speakers the only sounds. Jack realized he was getting used to Zyraveth's presence, alien or not, after less than a day. Something about her, her curiosity, her sly grin, the way she devoured bacon like it was humanity's greatest invention, made him feel less alone. But the calm didn't last. Jack's phone buzzed, the screen flashing an odd alert. Warning, extraterrestrial protocol activated. Remain in place and report any anomalous behavior. He slid the phone across the table to Zyraveth. Check this out. The government knows about you. Zyraveth glanced at the screen, then smirked. Not your government. It's the Interplanetary Diplomatic Corps. They spoof your networks to send alerts. Standard procedure for tracking unauthorized bonds. Jack cursed, gripping his coffee mug. So they can hack my phone? What else? Traffic cams? GPS? No cameras, she said, taking another bite of burger. They track the sync gem's energy signature. It emits a unique frequency, traceable within 300 miles. But the signal spikes when our emotions fluctuate. Jack glared. You're telling me to chill while we're being hunted by suits who want to scramble my brain? Exactly, she said, shrugging. Think about bacon. It calms me. Jack shook his head, swallowing his anger. Fine, we eat, then we move. I don't want those gray suit freaks showing up while I'm munching fries. They left the diner as night settled in, the neon glow of Mama's fading in the rearview. Jack checked the mirror, ensuring no one was tailing them, then merged back onto Highway 93. Zyraveth sat quietly for a while, twirling the silver device on her wrist. Jack noticed she seemed more anxious, despite her attempts to hide it by messing with the radio. You alright? He asked, breaking the silence. You keep staring at that bracelet. Zyraveth hesitated, then sighed. This isn't just a communicator. It links to the Zorith Resistance Network. If we don't reach the Boise outpost before it runs dry, I'll lose contact with my allies. And she paused, gazing out the window. I might lose my chance to stop Kael'Zor. Jack frowned. Kael'Zor, the commander who wants to marry you. How bad is this guy? She turned back, her human-disguised eyes flickering with pain. He doesn't just want marriage. He wants my sync gem. It's not only my consciousness, it's the key to controlling Zorith 9's psychic network. If he gets it, he can impose his will on billions. They'll lose their freedom forever. A chill ran down Jack's spine. So you fled to Earth to stop him. Why Earth? Your planet's outside Zorith 9's jurisdiction, she said. And you're different. Your minds resist psychic control. When I accidentally bonded with you, I realized your mind's almost unreadable. Just emotions, no clear thoughts. Jack smirked. So I'm special, huh? Zyraveth smiled, looking genuinely relaxed for the first time. You could say that. Your mind's like a static wall. It's refreshing. Jack wasn't sure if he should be proud or insulted. So what's the plan? Get to Boise, find your resistance buddies, and cut this bond without frying my brain? She nodded, but her eyes darted away. Yes. But there's something I haven't told you. Jack's grip tightened on the wheel. What? Zyraveth touched her forehead, where the gem hid beneath her disguise. I'm not just a light-born heir. I'm the only one with a genetic variant that can disrupt Zorith 9's psychic network. If I fully bond with a non-psychic mind, like yours, it creates a null zone, a place Kael'Zor's network can't touch. Jack's jaw dropped. So you're using me to wreck his plans? You picked me on purpose? No. Zyraveth shook her head fiercely. The portal brought me here by chance. But when I saw your mind could create a null zone, I thought, maybe this is how I save my people. Jack's stomach twisted, torn between anger and disappointment. So I'm just a tool? Some random plumber for your galactic revolution? Zyraveth touched his arm, her fingers cold. No, Jack. I didn't expect to, like you. You make me laugh, even when I'm running. You shared your bacon. You didn't ditch me when the gray suits showed up. Jack pulled his arm back, trying to stay calm. You mean that? Or is this part of the plan too? She locked eyes with him, her disguise shimmering faintly. I swear on my sync gem, I'm not lying. But I need your help to get to Boise. After that, you decide if you're in or out. Jack went quiet, his mind racing. Part of him wanted to pull over and tell her to get lost. But another part, the part that laughed when she geeked out over bacon, the part curious about her world, kept him driving. They pulled into a roadside motel as the night grew late, its starlight and sign flickering. Vacancy. In green neon. Jack parked in a shadowed corner, away from the streetlights. We're crashing here, he said, checking his wallet. I've got enough cash for a room. But keep the disguise up, and no weird stuff, all right? Zyraveth nodded, but her movements were slower, like she was drained. I'll try, she said, clutching her wrist, where the silver device blinked faintly. Inside the motel office, an old guy with a gray beard sat watching a fishing show on a grainy TV. Jack slid a stack of bills across the counter. "One room, end of the row, off the main drag," he said, slipping an extra 20. "And if anyone asks, I was never here." The guy pocketed the cash without looking up. "Room 12. Hot water's iffy. Out by 11. The motel room reeked of stale cigarettes and industrial cleaner, but the beds were clean. Jack yanked the curtains shut, checked the windows, then flopped onto one bed. "I need sleep," he said, kicking off his boots. "Don't blow anything up or mess with anyone's head while I'm out, got it?" Zyraveth sat on the other bed, checking her wrist device. "I need to tell you something," she said, her hand pausing. "About why I'm really here." Jack propped himself up on his elbows, eyeing her. "If it's about more aliens, I don't want to know." She shook her head, touching her forehead where the gem was hidden. "I'm not just a light-born heir. I'm the last one with the genetic variant that can break Zorath 9's psychic network. If I don't reach the resistance outpost, Kael'Zor will find me and use my gem to control my people. He's done it to other heirs, erased their consciousness, turned them into tools." Jack sat up, sleep forgotten. "Erased? Like you said before, a husk?" She nodded, her hand trembling. "I ran because I don't want to end up like them. But if I fail, it's not just me. My people will live under his control forever." Jack stared, seeing vulnerability in her human-disguised eyes for the first time. "So our bond, it could stop him?" "Maybe," she said. "The null zone your mind creates could spread, disrupting his network. But it's risky for you. I don't want to force you." Jack lay back, staring at the stained ceiling. "I'm just a plumber, Zyraveth. I don't know jack about revolutions or aliens. But if you need to get to Boise, I'll get you there." She smiled, a soft one that made his heart skip. "Thank you, Jack." The next morning, they left the motel before dawn, the sky still pitch black. Jack felt sharper, despite the rock-hard bed. Zyraveth looked drained, her disguise flickering like a bad TV signal. "You need to eat," he said, handing her a Snickers from his backpack. "You look like you're about to pass out." She took a bite, grimacing at the sweetness. "Your food's too sugary," she said, but polished off the bar. They drove toward Boise, the desert giving way to green fields and low hills. Zyraveth shared more about Zorath 9, cities of liquid crystal, rivers of light, and a psychic network linking everyone like a symphony. But she also talked about Kael'Zor, who'd twisted that network into a tool of control, forcing billions to obey. Jack listened, a strange anger rising, not because he understood it all, but because he hated the idea of anyone losing their freedom. As they hit Boise's outskirts, Zyraveth checked her wrist device. "The outpost's close," she said, pointing to a neighborhood with small shops and bikes lining the sidewalks. "It's a bike shop called Cosmic Cycle. Cosmic is the resistance code." Jack parked in front of a small store, its Cosmic Cycle sign showing a bicycle soaring through stars. "Looks more like a hipster hangout than an alien base," he said, stepping out. Zyraveth followed, her disguise faltering, patches of blue skin showing on her arms. "I need to get inside before the camouflage fails," she said, pushing open the door. Inside, a bearded guy in a flannel shirt was fixing a bike, indie music drifting from a Bluetooth speaker. He looked up, eyeing Zyraveth, then Jack. "You folks need something? Repairs or gear?" Zyraveth stepped forward, raising her wrist device. "I need to see the leader. Code, light shatters darkness." The guy paused, setting down his tools. "Follow me," he said, leading them through a back door, down a staircase to a basement. Jack's heart pounded, unsure what he was walking into. The basement was no bike shop. Holographic screens displayed planets, gleaming metal devices lined the walls, and a mix of people, some human-looking, others with blue skin or glowing eyes, worked at control panels. A woman with blue skin like Zyraveth's approached, holding a gun-like device. "Zyraveth," she said, hugging her. "We thought you'd been caught." "Not yet," Zyraveth said, turning to Jack. "This is Jack Ramsey. He's bonded to me." The woman studied Jack, her gaze sharp. A human? Does his mind create a null zone? Zyreveth nodded. Yes. And he got me here. Jack raised a hand. Hold up. I just wanted to get her here safe. I didn't sign up to be a hero or anything. The woman smiled. I'm Kalia, commander of this outpost. Thank you, Jack. But things just got trickier. She led them to a holographic screen showing a teardrop-shaped ship moving in Earth's orbit. The diplomatic corps has deployed a hunt team. They know Zyreveth is here, and they're coming. We've got less than 24 hours to get her off-planet. Jack's stomach lurched. Off-planet? Where's she going? And what about me? Kalia looked at him. Your bond makes her easier to track. If she leaves, you have to go too. Otherwise, the sync gem will drag your consciousness with her, and you won't be you anymore. Jack turned to Zyreveth, feeling betrayed. You knew this, didn't you? You knew I could get yanked along? Zyreveth lowered her head, hands twisting. I wasn't sure. I hoped the resistance could sever the bond without hurting you. I didn't want to drag you into this. Jack stepped back, his mind reeling. So I could lose my memories, my mind, or get hauled onto a spaceship. Fantastic. Just fantastic. Kalia put a hand on his shoulder. We'll try to protect you both. But we need to move fast. The Corps doesn't just want Zyreveth. They want her gem. And if Kael'Zor gets it, no corner of the universe will be safe. Jack looked at Zyreveth, seeing her tremble, her disguise nearly gone, revealing her blue skin. In that moment, he saw her not as an alien princess, but as someone fighting for freedom, like he'd once dreamed of a life free from bills and dead-end jobs. He sighed, rubbing his face. All right. I'm in. But if I die, I want the biggest damn bacon platter in the galaxy. Zyreveth laughed, her eyes brightening. I promise. The basement of Cosmic Cycle in Boise shook like the world was caving in. Overhead lights flickered, dust raining from cracks in the concrete walls. Jack Ramsey clung to the edge of a control console, eyes glued to a holographic screen showing the teardrop-shaped ship of the interplanetary diplomatic corps. It had broken orbit, and was screaming toward Idaho at a speed that made Jack's stomach lurch. Zyreveth stood beside him, her human disguise gone, revealing shimmering blue skin and a sync gem on her forehead blazing like a tiny star. She tapped frantically at her wrist device, its red light flickering like a dying candle. Kalia, the Resistance Outpost commander, darted across the room, barking orders to the others, some with blue skin, some with glowing eyes, and a few who looked human but moved too fast to be normal. Lock all entrances, she shouted, adjusting a console covered in alien symbols. They'll hit from the ground first. Ready the energy shields. Jack turned to Zyreveth, clutching his backpack with the blue orb inside. You said we had 24 hours. How are they here so fast? Zyreveth didn't look up from her device. My sync gem signal spikes when I'm near the resistance network. They locked onto us the second we walked in. Jack cursed, rubbing his face. Awesome. So now what? Run again or fight? Kalia cut in, shoving a gun-like device into Jack's hands. You know how to shoot? Jack gripped it, surprised at how light it felt compared to his dad's old hunting rifle. Deer rifles, sure. This thing? Not so much. Red button to fire, Kalia said, pointing to a glowing trigger. It shoots energy pulses, enough to stun the gray suits. Don't hit our people. Jack nodded, his head spinning. 48 hours ago, he was unclogging pipes and stressing over electric bills. Now he was in an alien bunker, holding an energy blaster, prepping to fight bureaucrats who wanted to wipe his brain. If I make it through this, he told Zyreveth, you owe me the biggest bacon platter in the galaxy. She grinned, still tapping her device. Deal. And a chocolate milkshake too. Before Jack could reply, a deafening boom echoed from the staircase. The steel door to the bike shop above blew apart, black smoke pouring in. 3 gray-suited figures stepped through, their 2 perfect faces moving in eerie sync like robots. Behind them loomed the taller creature, its silver-gray skin glinting, red eyes burning, wielding a glowing metal rod. Jack's heart pounded. "That's not the usual ground team, is it?" he asked. Zyreveth froze, her eyes wide. "Kael'Zor," she whispered, her hand trembling as she touched her gem. "He's here for me." Kalia swore in a language Jack didn't catch, then yelled, "Raise the shields! Focus fire on Kael'Zor!" Resistance fighters ducked behind consoles, unleashing blue energy bolts from their weapons. The gray suits dropped, but Kael'Zor raised his rod, a red light shield deflecting every shot. Jack yanked Zyreveth behind a console, gripping his energy gun. "He's that strong? What's the plan?" She took a deep breath, her swirling eyes locking onto his. "I need to activate the null zone. Your mind's the key. If I fully sync with you, the null zone will spread, breaking Kael'Zor's psychic network." But what?" Jack asked, his stomach twisting. "It'll hurt you," she said, grabbing his hand. "Your brain isn't built for psychic syncing. You could lose memories, or worse." Jack stared at her, then at Kael'Zor, who was advancing, his rod slicing through the Resistance's energy shields like butter. "If we don't do it, what happens?" "He takes my gem," she said. "He controls my people. And maybe Earth too, if he feels like it." Jack rubbed his face, the weight of the universe on his shoulders. "Fine. Do it. But if I forget how to eat bacon, I'm gonna be pissed." Zyreveth touched her gem, then pressed her hand to Jack's forehead. "I'll try to keep you safe," she said, her eyes blazing. A surge of blue light engulfed them. Jack felt like he was sucked into a whirlwind of light. His head throbbed, like someone was drilling into his skull. Images flashed, his messy trailer, Mama's diner, Zyreveth's grin as she bit into bacon. Then alien visions crashed in, liquid crystal cities on Zorath 9, rivers of light, millions of faces trapped in a psychic network, their eyes hollow. Zyreveth's voice echoed in his mind, not through his ears but as part of him. "Focus on me, Jack. Don't let your consciousness unravel." Jack gritted his teeth, clinging to Zyreveth's image, not the alien princess, but the girl who geeked out over cotton candy and shared his Doritos. The pain surged, but he sensed something else, a void, like a calm pocket in a storm. "Is that the null zone?" he thought, unsure if he was speaking or thinking. "Yes," Zyreveth answered in his head. "Keep it open. I'm breaking his network." In the real world, Kael'Zor screamed, dropping his rod and clutching his head. Resistance fighters seized the moment, hammering him with energy blasts. His red shield shattered, and he collapsed, his glowing eyes dimming. The remaining gray suits froze, like unplugged robots, then crumpled to the floor. The blue light faded, but Jack's head still pounded. He opened his eyes to find Zyreveth kneeling beside him, her hands still on his forehead. Her gem flickered weakly, and her blue skin looked pale, drained. "We did it," she whispered, her hand shaking as she pulled away. The null zone broke his psychic network. Kael'Zor's done. Jack propped himself up, dizzy. "I'm alive? Or is this alien heaven?" She gave a weak laugh, leaning on his shoulder. "You're alive. And you're still you." Kalia rushed over, checking Zyreveth. "You okay?" "Your gem's overloaded. We need to get you to a recovery pod." Jack raised a hand. "Hold up. Is Kael'Zor toast? And what about this bond? I don't want to get dragged onto a spaceship or lose my mind." Kalia glanced at Kael'Zor, now bound in energy cuffs. "He's being shipped to Zorath 9 for trial. His network's gone, thanks to your null zone. But the bond..." She looked at Zyreveth. "It's still active. It'll finalize in 24 hours. Jack spun to Zyreveth, feeling like he'd been sucker-punched. "What? I thought we were done." Zyreveth lowered her head, hands twisting. The null zone needed a full sync to work. It pushed the bond further than I planned. In 24 hours, it'll be permanent. Breaking it now would hurt us both. Jack stepped back, his mind a mess. "So I'm stuck with you? Forever?" Kalia jumped in. Not exactly. We have a way, but it's risky. A severance ritual, using resistance tech. It could unlink you without damaging your consciousness. But it'll erase your memories of Zyraveth and all this. Jack's jaw dropped. Erase my memories? So I'd forget her? Forget I just saved a whole damn planet? Zyraveth touched his arm, her eyes brimming with sadness. It's the only way to get your normal life back, Jack. You deserve to live without being dragged into my war. Jack stared, his chest tight. He remembered her smile at Mama's diner, her awe at the cotton candy machine, the moment she handed him a Dorito in the truck. He didn't want to lose those, even if they came with the craziest nightmare of his life. I need time to think, he said, retreating to a corner, rubbing his face. Over the next 12 hours, the outpost buzzed like a kicked hornet's nest. Kalzor and the gray suits were loaded onto a small ship, headed for trial on Zorath 9. Resistance fighters repaired gear, prepping for a possible diplomatic corps counterattack. Jack pitched in, mostly to keep his mind busy, hauling crates and learning to use a few basic alien tools. He realized he liked working for something bigger, even if it was just moving boxes. Zyraveth stayed in a recovery pod, her gem hooked to a device to stabilize its energy. When she emerged, her blue skin glowed brighter, but her eyes were heavy. She found Jack sitting on a metal crate, munching a Snickers. Have you decided? She asked, sitting beside him. Jack shrugged, offering her half the candy bar. I don't know. Part of me wants to go back to fixing pipes, paying bills, and forgetting this insanity. But another part. He looked at her, swallowing hard. Another part doesn't want to forget you. You make me laugh, even when you're blowing up cotton candy machines and dragging me into space wars. She took the Snickers, biting into it and wincing at the sweetness. I don't want to forget you either, Jack. You're the first person to treat me like a person, not a light-born heir. Jack glanced around the cluttered room, where resistance fighters worked. If I stay, what do I do? I don't know squat about the universe or psychic stuff. I'm just a plumber. Zyraveth touched his hand, her fingers warmer than before. You helped create the null zone. You can learn. And I'll be with you. Jack went quiet, his mind racing. He thought of his messy trailer, the stack of bills, the life he thought was all there was. Then he thought of Zyraveth, her stories of liquid crystal cities, and the rush of doing something that mattered. All right, he said, standing. I'm skipping the severance ritual. I'm staying. But I want a real job, not hauling crates for aliens. Zyraveth laughed, her eyes blazing. I'll find you a job. Maybe interplanetary plumbing engineer? Jack chuckled, feeling lighter than he had in days. Sounds like a plan. That evening, the Resistance held a meeting at the outpost to decide Zyraveth and Jack's fate. Kalia stood before a holographic map of the cosmos, thousands of planets glowing. Zyraveth broke Kalzor's psychic network. She said, turning to her. You're a symbol of freedom on Zorath 9. The people want you back to lead their rebuilding. Zyraveth stood, her gems sparkling. I'll return. But I want Jack with me. He's part of this victory. Jack raised a hand. Whoa, I'm no leader. I just want bacon and a bed that doesn't shake. The room laughed, and Kalia nodded. You can join Zyraveth as Earth's ambassador. We need humans like you, ones who can't be controlled, who think outside the box. Jack looked at Zyraveth, seeing her smile. Ambassador sounds fancy, he said. But I'm gonna need a bacon platter before I board any spaceship. A week later, Jack stood on a resistance ship, watching Earth shrink through a viewport. He wore a new outfit, not a gray suit, but a leather jacket and jeans, with a cosmic cycle logo stitched on the chest. Zyraveth stood beside him, her blue skin radiant under the ship's lights. Her gem was stable, and she looked stronger than ever. You think I can pull this off? Jack asked, hands in his pockets. Being an ambassador, living on your planet, all that jazz? She touched his shoulder, her smile making his heart race. You survived bonding with me, beating Kalzor, and eating Doritos without choking. I think you'll manage. Jack grinned, gazing at the stars. Guess I'm not just a plumber anymore. Jack Ramsey, Earth's ambassador, null zone maker. Pretty badass. Zyraveth tilted her head, her swirling eyes twinkling. Badass. I like that word. The ship hummed, starting its journey to Zorath 9. Jack didn't know what lay ahead, but for the first time, he felt part of something bigger. And he knew, no matter where in the universe he went, he'd have Zyraveth, and a plate of bacon, by his side. Hey there, listeners! As the blue glow of Zyraveth's sync gem dims and Jack Ramsey's ship blasts toward Zorath 9, I hope their wild ride has left a spark in your soul. This story, kicking off in a trash Nevada trailer and ending among the stars, isn't just a sci-fi joyride. It's a shout-out to the fact that humanity's greatest power isn't in guns or gadgets, but in the sheer guts to stand up for what's right, even when the whole cosmos is gunning for you. Jack, a regular Joe plumber, became Earth's ambassador not because he was brainier or brawnier, but because he refused to ditch Zyraveth, even if it meant gambling his mind or his life. At its core, this tale's about connection, bridging gaps between a human grease monkey and an alien princess. Jack and Zyraveth's bond, sparked by a goofy snoring mishap and a glowing orb, grew into a null zone that smashed Kael'Zor's psychic empire. The takeaway? Your value's not in what you own, it's in who you've got your back and what you're willing to risk for them. Jack didn't need to be a caped crusader. He just needed to be himself, a dude who's nuts for bacon, cracks wise in a pinch, and sticks by his partner. This story hit me during those late-night moments, wondering what makes humans stand out in a universe packed with beings tougher or smarter. From that, Jack, Zyraveth, the cosmic cycle hideout, and the null zone sprang to life, weaving everyday vibes, like scarfing down a burger, with interstellar showdowns. But I need to hear from you. Did Jack's regular guy grit make you cheer? Did Zyraveth's fight for freedom tug at your heart? Was the Boise throwdown epic enough, or are you itching for more on Kael'Zor? Your thoughts are my guiding star, shaping the tales I'll spin next. Drop me your feelings, your hype, or even your gripes. They help carve out the worlds I create. Like Jack and Zyraveth forging a null zone, you and I are building a shared space where our imaginations collide. Let me know how this story hit you, and maybe we'll cross paths again on another starry adventure. Oh, and keep an eye out for glowing orbs. You never know when one might crash your couch.